You guys so much for being here. My name is Chris Steffen. I'm one of the volunteer organizers along with a bunch of other people. Organizers, raise your hands. All right. Round of applause for the organizers, please. How many first-timers here today? Okay, 3 people. Very good. Thank you guys for joining us. So for those that don't know, 1 Million Cups is a program put on by the Kaufman Foundation. Right now, in 115 communities across the country, our 1 Million Cup meeting is going on. And if you guys didn't know this, the average attendance is about 28. Any guess what our average attendance is?
35.
24.
About 40.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're doing really good in that regards. We usually have a guest speaker, either a success story or a new startup. And today we have Katy Steinberg and her husband Jeff. He's not going to say anything.
He's just
And she's with Missing Peace. So Missing Peace is a church. She's a founder and a pastor of Missing Peace. But it's I would say, a new take on the traditional vision of a church. She's not going to be preaching today. She's going to be talking about the business aspect behind the church because, raising capital, getting, what do you call them, parishioners? Is that? Getting people, basically customers. It's the same concept, whether it's a church or you're a plumbing contractor or whatever you're doing. You own a pet shop. The process of starting a business is the same, whatever it is. So she's here today to talk about that process. And I think I'll shut up now and turn it over to Katy. Round of applause, please.
I've been coming to Million Cups for a little while now, so I have a little bit of an idea of how this thing works. So I'll start with a bit about my background. So I'm a preacher's kid. I grew up in the Presbyterian church and feeling like that was part of my family, but also never feeling fully like I belonged because that was like such a contradiction. But I felt like the ways that things were done felt so far removed from real life. There was all these people in robes and singing in these voices, and things like this that didn't really make sense to me. Nonetheless, my faith went on, and I have a little picture here of go ahead. There we go. Click again. You got this. All right. I thought you'd just want to see like circa 87 preacher's family, right? That's the American dream right there, friends. So grew up in that environment, but never felt like called or moved to be a part of it. I mean, that was Dad's thing. That wasn't my thing. So I went instead to business school. I went to the University of Florida and got a major in business with minors in mass communications and economics. And I wanted to do international business. I wanted to travel the world. Faith still being a part of my story, but that wasn't my dream. And so that's what I did. And right out of college, I got a job at Aflac doing sales and had a lot of fun selling and, singing for my supper. Had a lot of success, but it was really a stepping stone for me to get into that international business. So I don't know how many of you know Capo. It's a local company that actually turned into Style Mark and then turned into, I think they were bought out by some French company sometime recently. But anyway, largest sunglass company in the United States at the time that I worked there. And somehow, a bunch of crazy people allowed me to climb my way into second in charge of international sales at 23. So I was traveling the world, I was doing the thing, I was living the dream, everything I thought I wanted. And I realized that somewhere along the way, it wasn't who I was. It wasn't what I was supposed to be. And so I kind of tapped back into my roots, like I think a lot of us do when we sort of hit that place in our life where we figure out this isn't who I am. So I got back into church a little bit and did some soul searching and all of those kinds of things. And said, I made these deals with God. I don't know if anybody's ever done this. Maybe you haven't, if I just get through this, or if I can just figure out this next thing. So my deal was, I will take one step towards seminary. That's the deal I made with God. I will take one step towards seminary, and then everyone will see what a dramatic, horrible failure all of this is, and say, Katy, you're a real nice kid, but this is not your thing. So I did that, and I took another step, and then another step. But I never envisioned that I would be part of the traditional version of church. I never thought I would be in a robe, in a pulpit, with the choir and the organ and all of those things. So it left me sort of feeling like, what will be next? Meanwhile, drop in the middle of that, if you want to click forward one more, this happened. I met this guy over here, and we had two wonderful daughters, which just sort of hijacked everything, but also gave me a chance to engage in some nonprofit work. I worked for the American Heart Association here. I was the director for Volusia County, raising $500,000 a year, which gave me some really great skills for doing something very entrepreneurial, right? Something very different. And went back to seminary. I was a seminary dropout for several years, which I loved. Like, I really wanted a t-shirt that said, like, seminary dropout. So I just thought that was a lot of fun. But I went back and finished my Master's of Divinity, and in that time, there was a new movement that was started called 1001 Worshiping Communities. And the idea of 1001 Worshiping Communities is that God doesn't live in a building. God doesn't live in a church. Faith isn't in a church. Spirituality doesn't exist solely in the church. You don't own it. The church doesn't own it. God's at work in the world, like our faith, like in the trees and in nature and in beauty and in light and in love and in all those special moments of our lives where we feel like there's something greater than ourselves. That's where these things are happening, and that's what the 1001 New Worshiping Communities movement is about. Starting 1001, really different expressions of faith and spirituality in church in an incarnational way. So that yielded things like pub church, people who meet in a bar. And there's one that meets in a wine bar that does this super traditional liturgy, like the songs and the hymns and all these things, but they're doing it over wine. There's one called Sweaty Sheep, and they run together, and that's their version of church. Like, is that they run together, they exercise, they talk about like their faith and their life. So there's all these different expressions. And meanwhile, I'm here in Ormond Beach area, and have a lot of friends, none of whom are involved in any kind of church or any kind of spiritual exploration. And all of us are raising young children. And we're thinking to ourselves, like, gosh, we can control what our kids eat. We can get our kids into good schools. We can do these physical things, these tangible things for our brains and our bodies. But what about the other part? What is that missing piece? And that's what yielded not only our name, but our vision. So instead of just being one version of, spiritual engagement or cerebral engagement, we decided to take a four-pronged approach that looks at all of who we are, our physical selves, our spiritual selves, our cerebral selves, and then what we do serving. And we decided that was the four most important parts of what it means to engage in the fullness of who we are as spiritual beings, is to engage in all those. So to do that, we're a nomadic community. We travel all over Volusia County, and we do physical things like paddleboarding and nature walks. And actually, it was 1 year ago last Sunday, we did this boot camp on the beach with Jimmy Zimmett that was awesome. It just came across my Facebook feed again. Or spiritual expressions. There's several labyrinths around town, which is a really cool spiritual expression. Different kinds of prayer, different kinds of music, those kinds of things. We look at our cerebral. So actually just last week, missing piece, we had a professor from Embry-Riddle who teaches in the humanities department and loves science fiction. Teach about science fiction and faith in God and how those things interact. Look at deep cerebral things about, the creation of the universe. What do we believe about that? How do we think that happened, 13 billion years ago? And have that conversation with a scientist. So that's the cerebral, and then serving. So we'll be at, painting rooms at the Hum shelter or putting together hygiene bags, things like that. So we really are trying to engage the fullness of who we are. And I have a short clip that I think really gives a view of what we do. I don't know if the sound's going to work, so if you want to go ahead and click on it, we're going to give it a shot. Let's see what happens here.
Around four essential ideas engaging with the spiritual.
It started all the way back to the beginning, yeah. We'll see if you can hear this well enough.
Peace is a new worshiping community in Ormond Beach, Florida. We started our group because we realized that there was a lot of people that had this desire to engage with the world in a spiritual way, to engage their minds in their faith, that had this desire to serve the world and be a force for good. And those needs weren't being met by the traditional church structures that were available. So we formed Missing Peace around 4 essential ideas, engaging with the spiritual, the cerebral, the physical, and service. Missing Peace is a nomadic community. So what that means is we'll meet wherever is appropriate to our expression of worship that week. So to service week, we might meet at the homeless shelter or community garden so that we can do some good work there. If it's a cerebral week, we might meet at an old primitive church building or at a museum. If it's a physical week, we might be at the beach doing a workout there. And on a week where we're doing a more spiritual expression, we might be walking the labyrinth or doing yoga, all of which help us to engage in the fullness of our faith instead of just one aspect of our faith. We stay really heavily connected through our media outlets that allow us to keep people up to date on what we're doing, where we are, what the expression of our worship is going to be that week, so people can find us no matter where they are and no matter where we are. We have found that no matter how our life looks, whether we are Christian or agnostic, whether we are successful or struggling, whether we're confident or doubtful or anywhere in between, we all need more peace for the good of ourselves, our families, our community, and our world.
So we've been really blessed to know Laura Landry, who I would gladly refer any of you to. She is an amazing filmmaker and has been able to capture our story in a series of short clips like this one. So I invite you to go on YouTube and look for Missing Peace Community, or go on our Facebook page or ormansmissingpeace.com if you want to see some more about that. And you know, the questions are kind of facing out. Do you want to click one more forward? It is, or 2 more. So kind of where we are, we founded in August of 2015, and this is such an experimental new kind of idea that it's kind of like, how do you explain to people that it's, to steal a term that Heather Eaton on the radio has coined for us, unchurch. How do you explain that it's this deep spiritual engagement that I think so many people are hungry for, but you're not going to be confined to the traditional structures or even ideas. I mean, we do a lot of exploring together. So how do we reach more people? How do we engage people in what we're doing? Also, we found, starting last year in April, live cast by Facebook Live, a sermon. Just the sermon, not the whole, gathering. And it got 2,500 views. And so we figured out that was a way that people wanted to engage with us in these brief little sermons. So we've been doing that, but how do we engage that more fully? Instead of just seeing a little number populate at the bottom of any of you post videos, you see that little number populate at the bottom of how many people are watching. That doesn't mean you're connecting with these people. That doesn't mean they're showing up on Sunday or coming to our, one of our brunches. So how do we more fully engage that online audience? And a good friend of mine that started a wonderful group called the Boss Ladies sent me an email recently that invited me to break up with my idea. And I think that's a really important entrepreneurial concept. I think sometimes we get really stuck on a specific idea of something, and sometimes you need to break up with your idea. You need to, step back from the forest, the trees, all of that, and take a closer look. So part of me is wondering, are there things about this idea? Are there ways in which I need to break up with this idea in order to let it become the fullness of what it could be? And then, and the other question that's sort of tied to that is it time to go big or go home? I think all of us get to a point where we kind of say, am I going to throw the fullness of everything I can into this venture? Or is it time to not? Maybe your idea doesn't work, So where are the areas that, and that's why I wanted to reach out to all of you, where are the areas that we can really make sure that we're living this out to the best of our ability, and doing that in really meaningful ways. Because like Chris said, we have the same questions, like how are we going to pay for this thing, which we've been fortunate to get some grants together. We've got some pretty good givers that come to Missing Peace and just think it's a great idea, and so they give their money to it. But it's going to have to grow to be sustainable, right? Like any of your businesses, it's going to have to grow to be sustainable long term. Grants run out. So that's why I'm grateful to be here with all of you and to hear all of your stories, because I've been here week after week hearing about the ways that you've engaged this, the ways that your ideas, the ways that you face challenges and overcome them. And so I'm grateful for all of you and grateful to be a part of this community and grateful to share with you today. So thank you.